Do you spend hours each week creating Instagram content, but you're still not getting the sales and the wins that you see everyone and their mom sharing to their feed? It's really rough, but there's usually just a few simple changes you need to make to get there, and I'm going to help you. You are closer than you think. You can find the exact gaps that you have in your Instagram strategy, the gaps that are holding you back from getting clients from your content with my free Find and Fix the Gaps in Your Instagram Strategy quiz. All you have to do is take 5 minutes to fill out the quiz and you'll get the exact roadmap you need to start getting sales from your Instagram content. Get your copy of the quiz at sociallyyours.biz/findandfixed. All spelled out, all one word, find and fixed, or check the link in the show notes. Do you ever feel like you're putting in all this work, all this effort into your business, but your business just isn't giving back the way you thought it would? Or like the little spark that got you started with your business has just fizzled out? If you've ever wondered whether it's time to pivot or just even to tweak things so they feel better, this is the episode for you. Today, I'm talking with Mariah Scrivens, a former teacher turned multi-business owner who knows a thing or two about big shifts. She has helped countless entrepreneurs simplify their strategy, ditch the overwhelm, and build businesses that actually feel good to run. She's all about bold moves, mindset shifts, and taking intentional action. And I cannot wait for you to hear her insights. Welcome to the Mompreneur Mastery Podcast, where we share actionable Instagram strategies that fit into a busy mom's schedule so that you can get more engagement, more leads, and more sales in less time. I'm Sydney O'Brien, an Instagram strategist who started my business with 3 kids under 5 and found a way to do it without sacrificing quality time with my family and only working 2 hours a day. I love helping other mom business owners find that seemingly impossible mom work-life balance instead of spending too much time creating content that isn't getting them the results they want. If you're an overwhelmed but very ambitious business owner and you want to strategize the heck out of your Instagram account so that you can save time and make more sales, you're in the right place. All right, and today I get to talk to Mariah. Mariah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
For sure. So I am over here in sunny Ottawa Valley in Canada, and I was a teacher for many years, teaching kindergarten, and started selling resources on the side, kind of one of those things where they didn't have what I wanted, so I started making them. And after a few years, had scaled that business to 6 figures, and then a whole whack of things happened. I met my husband, I moved across the country, I had what feels like 600 children, and realized I wanted to pivot. There was just a lot of little signs telling me that it was time for a change. And it was actually a photo shoot I was at with doing brand photos, which was like a bucket list item for me, to be honest. And she asked me if I would ever consider business coaching her. And I was like, oh, what? Never. I could never. But then the seed had been planted, and lo and behold, I think it was something like 4 months later, I decided, okay, yeah, I am going to do this. And it just took off from there. So now I am business coaching. I have fully retired my previous business, and I get to help all sorts of amazing entrepreneurs scale and expand and also work through their own pivots.
That's really cool. I love the idea that you got to leave, not you got to, I'm sure it had its moments where it was really fun, but you got to pursue something else that like seemed to work better for you.
Yeah,
and then
totally.
Pivot again into something that was even better.
Yeah, I did pivot into something that worked better. It was one of those things where I thought I was going to be a teacher forever. I was like, this is it. This is my career. I love it. And teaching and the climate of teaching has really changed. And I was not set up to cope with it. And I was crying every single day on my way to work and feeling so much resentment toward 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, which is super messed up and really messes with your brain to be like, why am I upset that they're not regulating and I'm literally not even able to regulate and I'm an adult? So it really was messing with my head. Then I got pregnant and I just couldn't wrap my head around leaving my baby at home to go to a job I didn't love anymore. But then that's stressful too, because you're like, well, my business is not, as secure as this beautiful teaching position that has benefits in retirement and blah, blah, blah. And everyone says you're crazy for leaving it and you're leaving all this security. People spend years and years trying to get a contract. There's all that fear-based judgment from everyone around you. But it was one of those things that it wasn't a spur of the moment decision. I had already been building up that business for so long, and I did already have proof of concept there that I believed in. And I knew if I wasn't just working for an hour here and there throughout the day when I wasn't in the classroom, that I could really scale it. So there was that sense of relief that got me out of the classroom. And then once I was out, I was like, I can never go back. I love being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I love the flexibility of it for sure. And most of the time, getting to be with my kids during the day. Sometimes it's a bit much, but most of the time, I enjoy that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't like you send mine to part-time care now, but I like that if they're sick or if she's sick or whatever, it's not the end of the world. Like I can just rearrange things on my schedule and work during their naps. That's what I'm used to. That's how I built my businesses in the first place, was in these tiny spurts. And it's just nice to be able to have that ability to always prioritize family and their needs.
Yeah, like the sick days, the doctor's appointments, all the things, being able to fit that in without having to stress or like worry about having to ask for time off to do it is very nice.
Agreed. So much less stress, even in regards to teaching. If you're like feeling sick or your kids are sick, you still have to write up all of these supply lessons for the supply teacher. It just makes being sick so much more of a hassle, and it makes teachers more resistant to taking days off because they're like, it's literally more work for me to write these plans for someone else than to just go and do it.
Yeah, that sounds super draining.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found something better. What were some of the signs that were there that made you think, man, I need a change?
So from the classroom, it was very much, I was trying to take every single second I could to work on my business during prep, during lunch, waking up early in the morning, having no life at all because all I wanted to do was work on my business. And really that passion for that start there that I was not feeling for the classroom at all. I was doing barely any prep and planning at all for the classroom, and my lessons were still going great. The students still loved me. I was still, having a really strong reputation in the school, but my heart was just not in it anymore. And then the same sort of thing happened again a few years later, right before I pivoted into business coaching. And it was the same where I just felt like I was kind of going through the motions, and I was showing up I had a huge account of like 14,000 followers. I was showing up there, but my heart wasn't in it. And the further I got from my days in the classroom, the more I felt that disconnect, but also the fear of disconnect that made it harder and harder for me to feel like it was authentic for me to show up and talk to teachers about what they're going through and create these resources and sell it to them and all of that. And overall, I just had a lot of experiences in Teacher Graham that felt very negative to me, and that it was just not a healthy space for me to be in anymore. And eventually I realized that I just had to try something else, and I wanted to try something else. And as soon as I did, I stopped dragging my feet and I stopped dreading work, and I started being excited to send emails, and I started loving showing up on reels, and all of that excitement immediately came back.
That's awesome. That excitement is like so key for especially being like an entrepreneur when you have to be your own motivators. Especially if it's just you don't have a team behind you. So I'm glad you found that again.
It's literally impossible to scale your business if you don't love it and you don't have that joy. And I'm telling my clients that all the time. It needs to feel easy to you, and you need to love it, because just because you're good at something doesn't mean that that's what you should be doing or what you should be scaling. If your heart's not in it, if you're not energized by it, how are you supposed to show up and talk about those offers? How are you supposed to exude the energy and confidence that potential clients and customers need to see in order to feel that trust and wanting to work with you? You cannot fake your way through offers that you don't love and that you don't feel quote unquote aligned to. I don't love the word aligned, but it's really the best word to use in this situation. If you're not 100% on board, everyone's going to know, and it's going to be super hard to actually fill those offers and to actually scale in your business.
Yeah. If you're not excited about your offers, you can't expect anyone else to be either. And especially marketing yourself and your offers online, on social media in particular, people connect with people. And when you're showing up and not excited, people aren't going to connect with your content either. which is going to slow a lot of stuff down.
I feel like it's really hard to hide. And on socials, if you're showing up in a reel or you're never showing up because it's so hard for you to muster up the enthusiasm to go on stories or to post a picture, so your whole feed is just a single static image or whatever it is, that is going to be so obvious either on a conscious or subconscious level to everyone who's following you. So being able to be yourself and show up in a way that feels easy to you, because social media is a tool in your business. It's not the only thing that you're doing. So it needs to feel easy to you. It needs to feel exciting for you. And the only way that's going to happen is when you have those key messages that align with your offers that you're just repeating over and over and over again. And the only way that feels good is if you really believe in them.
Yeah. That's such an excellent point. That's kind of one of the reasons I hate those they seem like spam accounts that are like, oh, you can go viral with like these faceless things and like make all these sales. And like, can you?
I know.
Can you?
I know.
Especially for service-based businesses.
I know. I'm like, faceless marketing is attractive to people who want to do faceless marketing. Like any kind of business like that, where you're a faceless marketer selling faceless marketing to other people who want to do faceless marketing, or you've made a digital product about selling digital products and you're selling it to people who want to sell digital products. Like your experience and your success and any revenue claims are being generated so internally and intrinsically motivated that way that it doesn't carry much weight for me personally, because I don't know, what skills are we learning from this? What are we actually able to put into other businesses other than people who want the same thing that you claim to be selling and they can do the exact same thing?
Right. Which then feels like MRR, like
I know. I can't. It's like so as someone who built a 6-figure business selling actual digital products, these were things like worksheets and activities and lesson plans for teachers. But now if I say, oh, well, I'm a digital product creator, everyone immediately goes to MRR. It immediately goes to, oh, okay, you're selling how to sell passive income. I'm going to buy that and I'm going to resell it and blah, blah. I feel like the term is totally tainted now. Maybe that's just me, but I'm like, I can't even call myself that anymore.
Yeah, I feel the same way, especially when people advertise like passive income. And I'm just like, is it like how passive? I feel like passive is like, no, not really.
There's definitely so much nuance to it. I mean, I have genuine passive income now from my store that I had set up over years and years and years, because I don't do anything. I don't have any social media. I don't have any email marketing. I'm not uploading new products. I don't even log into the site. I didn't even know my password when I needed to log in last week. And I don't even think about it. But every month around the 11th, I get an email being like, oh, your payout's coming. And there's $1,000 in there. That to me is truly passive income, because I'm not lifting a finger. It's not even crossing my mind. But it didn't happen overnight. That took 6 years of building up a reputation, of creating 300 products, of optimizing them, creating the previews, making the descriptions, becoming a household name that still to this day is recommended. There's nothing passive about all the work that went into getting to this point. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions around that, about how easy it is to just all of a sudden make a few products and start making money every single month.
Yeah.
But there is so much more that goes into it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel the same way. Passive income is possible, but like the work to get there is certainly not passive. Like there's a lot to get it to that point.
And I know you've experienced things too, where it's like, yeah, you can wake up in the morning and have had people sign up for your programs overnight. That feels passive because you were not in a direct sales conversation with them. But it wasn't passive because you have done so many things up until that point. Maybe they were in a funnel. Maybe they were binging your podcast. Maybe they were going on your account and looking at all of that stuff. So they were still actively involved in your world, even if you weren't there saying, okay, hey, here's the link. Go and sign up now.
Yeah, they were still like consuming the content that you worked to create to get them to that point, for sure.
Yeah, they were in some sort of nurture cycle with you before that decision happened.
Yeah. So when I hear the word pivot, I think of that one scene from Friends where they're all like screaming at each other. And it seems a little scary. Do you have like some go-to advice for people when they are deciding to pivot and how to do it effectively?
Yeah. It is scary. I'll validate that for sure. It's one of those things where you're going to feel a lot of internal judgment, but you also might get judgment from other people, especially if you are leaving a somewhat established, successful business in some way. And from the outside, it looks like everything's going well. Or it's been so long that even if it's not going well, you have learned how to make it seem that way. So you're maybe not getting a lot of sales in, but your business looks crisp. Like it looks beautiful from the outside. It looks professional, curated, all of that. But something inside you is like, oh, you're just dreading it. If you're dragging your feet, if you are having a hard time motivating yourself to get things done, if there's that little voice in your head that is getting louder and louder with imposter syndrome and with self-doubt and all of this, then it's time to start thinking about, okay, what do I actually want to be doing? Along the way of whatever business you are running, you have gained so many skills, you have gained so many connections, and you have gained so much new insight that we can pivot into a new way. So just because you don't have existing experience or tons of training or whatever things you're telling yourself that you think you need, it doesn't mean you're not going to be successful in this pivot. It just means that you're ready. You've changed. You've grown. You are ready to do something else. And when you accept that, it's really helpful in being like, okay, it's okay that I have built to this point and now I want to try something new. That's totally fine. What is it that I love about my existing business? What are the tasks that you do still love in some capacity? Is it content creation? Is it getting on live calls with people? Is it doing podcast interviews? Is it writing blogs? Is it product creation? Whatever it is, what are the key pieces that you're going to carry through into the new business? And then what are the things that you want to leave behind? That's your best starting point. What are you keeping? What are you leaving behind? Because that's going to guide you into figuring out, okay, if I want to feel happy and fulfilled in my work every single day, I need to be doing more of this and less of this. How can I work with that? What are we working with here? And then allowing yourself a grace period. You don't need to burn everything to the ground and move on immediately. You don't need to shut down your Instagram or change your bio, all of that. You can give yourself that space to figure it out. The first iteration of your pivot business, of your offers, you're probably not even going to like it a year from then, but you needed to get through that scrappy, messy first version in order to give yourself that space to play, give yourself that space to figure out what it is that you love and what you're passionate about, so that a year later, you look back and you're like, okay, that girl is not the girl I am now, but she's the one who started this. And she's the one who showed me I could do other things. And that got me to this point that I'm at now. So just let yourself be messy and focus on what feels easy to you and what feels joyful to you.
Wow, there's like so many good points in there that all like were just so many just like gems and nuggets. In my business, I was just like a plain social media manager for like any small business. For some reason, I got really into working with lawyers. And I still have some of those clients, honestly, because I've worked with them for years and it's just like easy to do at this point. But then I realized like I don't love content creation for other people, but I enjoy like the strategy behind it. So that was like my pivot point where I started working specifically with mom business owners, and only because too many platforms was just too much. I had to narrow it down, and the strategy part rather than just doing it for people, because that's what I found enjoyable. And that was really invigorating, being able to let go of the stuff that wasn't serving me and finding what worked.
Yeah, there's so much power when you admit to yourself, like, okay, you know what? I am doing a great job, but that doesn't mean I have to keep doing it because there is other things I can be great at as well. And I think especially as a service provider, it's a really natural progression to go from doing that done for you service model, which really does have it has an earning cap, right? There's only a certain number of clients you can take on. And unless you're going to keep on raising your prices every single year, which have to make sense and it has to, be ethical to do that, then it is really hard to scale that without always trading off your own direct energy and time, right? So when we switch into, okay, well, now I'm going to do B2B service providing where you're educating, where you're teaching strategy, this is so much more scalable because it's something that you can replicate in courses or in calls, and people are doing that work from you and you're doing the educating up front. So it's a really, really smart pivot that you did.
Yeah, and I really like what you said about giving yourself grace. You don't have to have it all figured out right when we pivot. Like it takes time to get there, and especially in business where you want those like instant results, like that's why people sell like passive income things because people want those instant results, but it doesn't necessarily happen right away and you don't necessarily find what is best for you right away.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs do have a lot of people pleasing perfectionism embedded within them. And it feels very hard to embrace that mess because you're like, well, if I'm starting a new thing, I know now so much more than I know when I started my first business. And I know that I want my feed to look a certain way. And I know that I need to lead with authority and I need to have my content pillars and I need all of this and my offer suite needs to be fleshed out and blah, 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 funnels and that stuff. And it results in putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on yourself to have all of that figured out as if you've been in this business for 5 years when you haven't even been in the business for 5 seconds. So giving yourself that permission to build it slowly and to build it in a way that makes sense for you and makes sense for your life and give you that permission to build something, not just walk into a completed building that was like kind of shoddily made because, you tried to do everything at once and it took forever and it's still not even that good compared to if you just start at the foundation and you start figuring out what it is you want to do and who you want to serve. What kind of offers could you do? Okay, we're going to try that out. And then maybe we're going to layer in the social media. We're going to layer in the email marketing. We're going to layer in a different offer. We're going to try things out, do some collabs, whatever it is. Taking it piece by piece is how it's going to be sustainable and not one of those things where you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to work all day, night, and a weekend because there's so much. I'm behind. You're like, you're not behind. You literally just started.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I feel like a slower transition, you can still have like the income from the previous job to support you while you make the transition, which would also be incredibly helpful and take off some of that stress for sure.
Absolutely. I wanted to, as soon as I decided I was going into business coaching, I was like, that's it. I'm burning it down. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm deleting my Instagram account tonight. And my husband was like, no, you're not. We have a mortgage. This is extremely dramatic of you and irresponsible. And we're not shutting down like your income that we used to get this house, ma'am. And I was like, I don't like it anymore. He's like, I don't like my job either. Suck it up. So I kept it going for pretty much a year before I completely shut it down. But my focus really shifted and I wasn't really like on stories. I was batching out my emails for months and months and months. I hired on a BA and my presence in the business changed, but it was still going. I was still generating revenue. I was still doing launches until I got to a point in the new business where I was like, okay, I've made, the same amount of income now in my other business. And I feel very secure in the full transition.
Yeah, that it obviously worked out very well for you. Another business owner came up to you right now and they were like super stressed and overwhelmed and considering it. What do you think would be like a piece of advice for them?
Well, I do have people right now that are like really stressed, really over it. And it is a super common thing that we work through in coaching. But my first question is always, what do you want? Like, what do you want to do tomorrow? In an ideal world, what are you doing every day when you wake up? And how's that different from what's going on now? And a question I like to ask people, I just asked one of my clients this yesterday, actually, because she is like really in a messy middle right now where she's debating shutting down one business, but she doesn't know what the other one wants to be. She just knows it's not what she's doing right now. And I asked her, without overthinking it, this is a full gut reaction is what I want from you. If I was to ask you to present a workshop on whatever topic you want, the only caveat, it has to be a very passionate workshop. What are you presenting on? And then she gave me her answer like right away. Well, I would do this. And I was like, so that is the answer. That's what you're passionate about. That was what was easy for you to bring up. This is the thing that we're going to figure out how to make a viable business for you and how to make that be exciting and profitable for you. Because it's all about what seems easy to you to the point where you're almost discounting it. You're like, well, why would anyone pay for that? It's so easy. It's like, it's actually not. Nothing is. It's just that you are naturally good at it. You are naturally drawn to learning about it and to perfecting it. And other people are not. And they need you to educate them, to help them, to support them. So that's really what I would say. It's focus on what you want and what is like your gut reaction.
Yeah, that gut reaction piece I feel like is so important. Yeah.
Yeah. When you were contemplating your pivot, was it like a slow decision for you, or did you kind of know, okay, enough is enough and I know what I want to do?
It was kind of like I knew that I wanted to change, but I wasn't sure like how to implement it really. But I knew I wanted to switch to just like more the strategy side and narrow it down to just Instagram.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. And again, just like at a certain point, if you want to process of elimination it, you can do that in your business too. If you're like, well, I don't like this, and this, it's like, okay, what's left? Right. And where do we go from there? What can we add?
Yeah. And I think another thing, if you've had your business for a while, you've learned so much like other stuff than what you set out to initially do. And all of that, it seems, could probably be like taken into consideration when you are making that pivot. All of that new information that you have and those experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working with someone right now who was saying, well, I don't want all of this knowledge and all of this experience and all of this expertise that I've already built up to be wasted. I'm like, well, not being wasted. Everything that you've done has gotten you to this point, and you're going to carry through with you and use in different ways. All of these skills, they don't just vanish from your head. You keep them, you use them in other ways that make more sense for where you are now.
That's a great point. Because I can see that being like a big concern. Like I've built this thing up for so long and it feels like a waste to like abandon it, but you're not really abandoning it. You're just shifting, using it in a new way.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it is a big thing too. Like when I shut down my account of 14,000, I was like, oh, this is years in the making and I'm literally starting at zero. Those are real feelings, but at the end of the day, what are you really leaving behind? You're leaving behind a business that isn't serving you and that you're not excited about. So the options are keep it going almost for vanity reasons and fear, or try something new.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you have a free foundations program for entrepreneurs. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, totally. So this is something that I created just out of a need, out of experience with my own clients, because we were constantly working through the same things. A lot of people that come to me are either aware they want to pivot or subconsciously aware that they want to pivot. There's something off. They're feeling disconnected from their business. That, or they're like, I'm ready to like explode and scale and like rocket ship emoji out of here, all of that. So what I've realized is that nothing is possible without extreme clarity. You cannot scale a business that feels messy. We need to be really, really rock solid on who you're serving, what you stand for, and what you want to do in order to expand whatever it is that you're doing. And for those people that are debating a pivot, this is how you're going to figure out, okay, what do I want to do? Who do I want to serve? This is your bare bones foundation to get you going. So what I did was I created 6 training videos. They're all in a Google Doc, one of the new like fancy pageless ones with tabs. You work your way through it. You watch a little video. They're like 5 minutes. And then there are prompts in them. And what I've done is I've taken a bunch of prompts that are going to take you not that long to fill out, but it's like just word vomit your way through it. You don't need to fill them all out, but like let's get some words out on the paper. And then we're going to take them and put them into ChatGPT with really specific prompts. And those prompts are going to spit out to you your niche and your mission and the offers you should be doing and your unique value proposition and your brand voice and brand messaging guidelines, your key themes. It's really bringing you through everything you need to be confident about, clear about in order to grow your business in a way that actually grows it sustainably, and that feels really good for you. So that's a free program. You can just grab it on my website, mariahscrivens.com/foundation, but we'll link it for you in the show notes too.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds amazing. And it sounds like you put so much into that. Like normally lead magnets are like, I don't know, it seems like probably not that intense, but it seems like everyone gets so much out of this. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think a lead magnet is normally like a checklist
Right.
or, one training or whatever it is. But I definitely believe in first impressions, and I like people to know what they're gonna get from me as a business coach and the vibes I'm giving off. So, I want them to walk away with clear wins. I want everyone who's doing foundation to be like, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing," because that's the experience I give in all my programs moving forward. I just want everyone to know that, like, what you see is what you get with me, and I'm not going to be giving you fluffy. I'm not going to be stringing you along or wasting your money or your time. I'm not about it. And that's what I really want to convey right from the jump to give that solid first impression of like, hey, this is me. This is what it's like to work with me.
I love that so much. So yes, I will definitely be linking that in the show notes. So grab it there. And then can you tell people where they can find you online?
Totally. So on Instagram and Threads, that's where I'm most active. It's Mariah Makes It Happen is my handle. I'm trying to be a LinkedIn girly right now. I don't know. So if you want to find me on there and like throw me some solids and connect with me or whatever the LinkedIn terminology is, that would be cool. But mostly showing up on Instagram and Threads at Mariah Makes It Happen.
And you have your own podcast too, don't you?
I do. It's called Make It Happen with Mariah Scrivens. I drop a new episode every Monday, and I always alternate between a solo episode with me where it's almost like a workshop style training everything from mindset to strategy to marketing and everything in between. And then I also bring on guests every second week. So you get to hear from not only me, but a wide range of experts in a variety of fields.
Nice. So I will link all of those things in the show notes. So definitely make sure you check them out. And thank you so much for coming and talking with me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, I'm always happy to talk pivots and to connect with other women in business. So thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and talk.
Thank you so much for listening to Mompreneur Mastery, simple Instagram strategy for busy moms. If you were listening to this episode and found yourself nodding along, I would love it if you would find me on Instagram and send me a message telling me your biggest takeaway. My handle is at socially.yours.strategist. And don't forget to grab your free 1 month of Conversation Starters content calendar so that you know exactly what to post to get more comments without spending hours brainstorming Instagram post ideas. You can get it at sociallyyours.biz/content-calendar or head to the link in the show notes.